We will now begin the City of Boynton Beach City Commissioners meeting. The time is 6:31 today, May 1st, 2018. Would everyone please rise for an invocation led by Reverend Mayor Woodrow Hay, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Katz.
Let us pray. Loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you today for all your many blessings. We thank you for the privilege to serve. We ask that you bless this commission of the great city of Boynton Beach. Allow matters of business to be conducted decently and in order, and that it would be pleasing in your sight. We are grateful for the many men and women that serve this great city. Guide our hearts and our mind, dear Lord, in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your great supreme wisdom upon the activities so that our decision may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you, Lord, for being our source of guidance. We ask it all in your holy and righteous name. And all the people of God said, Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Stephen B. Grant.
Here.
Vice Mayor Christina Romulus.
Present.
Commissioner Justin Katz.
Here.
Commissioner Mac McCrae.
Here.
Commissioner Joe Costello.
Here.
All present, Mayor.
Thank you. I remind the audience and the commission to please silence your phones. Moving on to agenda approval. Any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Mayor,
Yes.
I sent an email just a little while ago, so you all may not have a chance to see it. Item 12B, staff is going to request that we table that. That's our forfeiture property registration program. We discovered some language this afternoon that we want to meet back with the company that we work with because there might be some questions. So we want to just hold off till the next meeting.
All right.
Motion to table.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Mayor?
Yes.
We also had a call that Representative Jaquette will not be here tonight. He's still ill.
Okay. And would the commission remove from the table items 12D and E?
So move.
Or 12D, I'm sorry.
So move.
Thank you. Well, I don't know if there's anything else. Let's see it. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? May I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We will now begin with informational items by members of the City Commissioner. Commissioner Katz, would you like to begin?
Yeah, I met with John Markey from JKM about the Cortina project in District 1, and that's it.
Commissioner McCrae?
Thank you, sir. I met with John Markey as well, also Bonnie Miskell in regards to the Cortina project. Also went to Santorini at Renaissance for their grand opening. I'll have further comments, sir, tonight after certain groups might want to speak and present information. Then I will say some other things. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Romulus?
I also attended a meeting with John Markey and Bonnie Miskell regarding the property there in near Old Boynton and Renaissance. Today, I also had the honor to stand with the rest of the Tourist Development Council board members at the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners meeting to announce the week of May 6th through 12th as National Travel Tourism Day. So this is a tremendous opportunity for us here in the city of Boynton Beach, along with Palm Beach County as a whole, where one of our major industries is tourism. So bringing awareness to that and encouraging people to come to our wonderful county and our beautiful city and enjoy the amenities that we offer and spend their dollars here really helps continue to provide thousands of jobs and really helps progress and move forward our county. So definitely a great recognition by the Board of County Commissioners this morning, and I'm honored to serve in that position. Thank you.
Commissioner Costello?
I also met with John Markey and Bonnie Miskell.
So I got a month's worth of information. I'll start off with April 5th. I attended the city's That's a Wrap event for that Let's Move Boynton Beach, and I attended Tip a Cop, where some of our law enforcement officers and sergeants went to work at Duffy's to take tips for the Special Olympics. On April 6th, I attended City Becomes a Quilt, where Brandon Drucker's work, along with our friends, our quilters over at the library, created a wonderful quilt that is hanging up at City Hall. On April 9th, I met with the Armenian ambassador to the United States and attended the MLK 50 event hosted by Mac Bernard over at the old courthouse. On April 10th, I hosted a delegation from Park Vista High School. We toured the city. We also went to the Police Quarterly Awards, and I met with the principal of Boynton Beach Community High School, Gwarn Sims. On April 11th, I attended the pension board for the general employees of Boynton Beach. On April 12th, I attended Arbor Day with students from St. Joseph's Episcopal School. On April 13th, I attended the Sister City Art at the Mall. And then April 16th, I attended the PERC training to become a certified public-private partnership professional. Thank you, City Commission, for allowing me to go on that trip. It was very informative. I think it is going to be very valuable for the city that I am a certified professional in P3s as we are going through a P3 for our Town Square project. On April 18th, I attended the Crowder Park dedication, and I'd also like to give kudos to Commissioner Casello for all the hard work that he did to get it named Officer Crowder Park. On April 19th, I attended the Transportation Planning Agency meeting. I went to our new co-work space called Co-work Boynton over on Quantum Boulevard. I attended the big meeting where they inaugurated their new president, Choice Pickle. On April 21st, went to the Firefighters Chili Cook-Off and the Concert on the Green hosted by the Park and Rec Department. On April 22nd, I went to our Babs Temple Walkathon, and they named the city of Boynton Beach's library as one of their beneficiaries for helping the community. On April 24th, I went to the business day at St. Joseph's Episcopal School. On April 25th, I attended the League of Cities meeting over in Green Acres. On April 26th, I attended an event called Lead the Fight with the Childhood Center, and I believe we have a proclamation that talks about adverse childhood experiences. On April 27th, I met with Tony Morrow and also went to the Santorini ribbon cutting, and April 30th went to the Palm Beach Forward Club as a guest of Michael Weiner. And that is it for me.
Mayor, one other comment.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to tell Eleanor Cassell, thank you for the article that you sent to us. Seniors in the Medical Academy at Boynton Beach High School earned prestigious industry certification. That was 20 seniors from Boynton Beach Community High School, and this exam will give them where they can work as trainers in any wellness center, a club, or a health club in any of the United States of America. I want to say to Boynton Beach Community High School, we are awfully proud of what is going on at that high school. Thank you.
And I forgot that there is an immigration legal screening clinic. It is a free consultation for anyone that would like to receive legal information regarding their immigrant status. There are flyers in the back. It is May 5th over at 709 North F Street, Lake Worth, Florida. Is there any other informational items from the Commission? Seeing none, moving on to announcements. Do we have a legislative update from Senator Bobby Powell? No. Okay. Moving on to proclamations. Our first, is it broken? Our first proclamation is for May 6th through 12th as Municipal Clerks Week. Judy, do you mind picking it up? Proclamation. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. Municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerks serve as the information center on functions of local government and community, and continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meeting of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk, now therefore I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, hereby proclaim the week of May 6th to the 12th, 2018 as Municipal Clerks Week. Pleasure. Next, we have a proclamation, May as National Historic Preservation Appreciation Month. Would Barbara Reedy and Dr. Randall Gill please come to accept the proclamation? Proclamation. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainable development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And whereas the City of Boynton Beach recognizes and appreciates the efforts of the Boynton Beach Historical Society in their 50th anniversary year to increase awareness and promote the need for public participation in preserving Boynton Beach's history, especially taking pride in the preservation of both our historical schools, which are our local treasure. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2018 as National Historic Preservation Month.
I want to thank our mayor, Mayor Grant, and our commissioners for their fine support of historic preservation. And it's just wonderful to see the things that are happening in our city and the historic things that are still happening in our city that we're going to be able to pass on to the next generation. I'd ask at this time for all those who are members of the Historical Society to please stand so we might recognize you this evening. Thank you. It is our 50th year, and we are very excited to see the restoration of the old Boynton Beach High School. And for many people, they never lived long enough to see this happen, but it was always a dream. And so it's just a beautiful thing for us to see this school being restored, and to see the Palm Beach Post talking about the wonderful city of Boynton Beach and this amazing school that is being restored. And again, I really appreciate all the support from the city leaders and the great vision that you all have. Thank you very much.
I'm here to represent the City of Boynton's Historic Resources Preservation Board, which I'm the chairman of, and we're very grateful to the city for all of your support, and I hope you take as much pride in the historic preservation that's going on as we do. So we're grateful. Thank you very much.
Next, proclaim the month of May as National Lupus Awareness Month. Would Paul Murray please come up to accept the proclamation? that one. Proclamation. Whereas each year the Lupus Foundation of America designates May as National Lupus Awareness Month to show support for the estimated 1.5 million Americans who have lupus. Whereas lupus is a cruel and mysterious chronic autoimmune disease in which the immune system is unbalanced, causing inflammation and tissue damage to virtually every organ system in the body. Whereas lupus can affect any part of the body, including the skin, lungs, heart, kidneys, and brain, no organ is spared. The disease can cause seizures, strokes, heart attacks, miscarriages, and organ failure. Whereas while lupus strikes mostly women of childbearing age, no one is safe from lupus. African Americans, Hispanic, Latinos, Asians, and Native Americans are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop lupus, a disparity that remains unexplained. Whereas lupus can be particularly difficult to diagnose because its symptoms are similar to those of many other illnesses, and major gaps exist in understanding the causes and consequences of lupus. More than half of the people with lupus take 4 or more years and visit 3 or more doctors before obtaining a correct diagnosis. Whereas there have been only 1 new drug approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration specifically for lupus in 56 years. Currently, treatments for the disease can be hard to get. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2018 as Lupus Awareness Month. You're welcome. I'm going to take a picture now. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much, Mayor. The mayor's got just about everything down pat on lupus. There are some offshoots called Sjogren's syndrome, Raynaud's syndrome. Myself, I get very major migraines with it, very bad fatigue, and as the mayor said, it takes a long time to diagnose. For me, it was 4 years, and many, many doctors. So, and heart problems, lung problems, kidney problems, all of that. For people that aren't familiar with lupus at all, and many people aren't, the younger people, Selena had to have a kidney transplant. Hopefully she'll be good now. Michael Jackson had lupus. Seal has lupus. The type that affected his face, discoid lupus. Many other people. Nick Cannon has been in the hospital with many times with lupus nephritis that affects his kidneys, that if he doesn't slow down, he's going to be in trouble too. Most of us have really bad fatigue. So for me, being diagnosed after 50 and being a Caucasian male is 0.03% of the population of lupus people. So finally, we're getting a lot of support about research. The Department of Defense for the last 5 years has actually put money in too, which is very unusual. So we thank you very much, and it's been a struggle for a lot of folks. Around the world, about 500,000 people die a year with lupus. In the United States, there's about 1.5 million worldwide. There's over 6 million people with lupus. So we appreciate it. We thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.
And our last proclamation is for the Mental Health Month. Would Goddard Climb and the Boynton Beach Mental Health Committee like to accept? Proclamation. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas everyone experiences time of stress and struggles in their lives, and 1 to 4 adults and 1 in 5 youth ages 13 to 18 experiences serious mental illness, and whereas 60% of adults and 50% of youth do not receive the treatment necessary for their mental health needs due to limited or no knowledge of the need, barriers to care, or fear and shame. And whereas research recognizes the adverse childhood experiences, which include but are not limited to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, physical and emotional neglect, household dysfunction, untreated mental illness, or incarceration of a household member, domestic violence, microaggressions, and separation or divorce involving household members, or traumatic experiences that can have a profound effect on a child's developing brain and body and can result in poor physical and mental health during childhood and adulthood. And whereas promoting mental health and wellness leads to higher overall productivity, better educational outcomes, lower crime rates, stronger economies, lower health care costs, improved family life, improved quality of life, and increased lifespan. Whereas the City of Boynton Beach recognizes the work of the Boynton Beach Mental Health Committee, impacting awareness and education, access to service, and acceptance of the importance of mental health and well-being to a person's overall success, and supports the implementation of trauma-informed approaches throughout the systems of care. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, hereby proclaim the month of May of 2018 as Mental Health Awareness and Trauma-Informed Care Month. Absolutely. Want to take a picture?
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of the Boynton Beach Mental Health Committee, I am proud to accept this proclamation and thank Mayor Steve Grant and these commissioners for the city's declaration that May is the official Mental Health Awareness and Trauma-Informed Care Month. We also express deep appreciation for the city's continued support of mental health education and awareness in our community. Green is the official color of mental health. I did not get my calendar mixed up. That'll hit you on the way home. It's great to see everyone sporting a Get Your Green On sticker. May 24th is actually Get Your Green On Day, when groups of people all over Palm Beach County wear green and put their photos on Facebook. This year, the Boynton Beach Mental Health Committee has been a part of a dynamic countywide Get Your Green On team that has achieved the most comprehensive effort ever to engage cities and towns, villages, organizations, businesses, schools, libraries, and media and faith communities in issuing proclamations, scheduling speakers, organizing events, promoting stickers and t-shirts. Because now more than ever, every citizen, every one of us, must take the responsibility to become informed about the stigma of mental illness and reach out to a family member, a neighbor, a coworker, or classmate in school who is alone and without friends. Participating in mental health first aid training and learning about community resources and where to go to get help is a good place to start. Information is available in our brochure, Finding Hope When You Need Help. And you can get these at the table that's located in the back as you leave. This month, we also focus on keeping our bodies healthy to promote wellness. In that vein, the Boynton Beach Mental Health Committee, partnering with Healthier Boynton Beach, invites you, commissioners, and everyone else to join us for meditation and yoga in the park on May 6th at 8:30 a.m. at the Intercoastal Park. It's free and a great way to get into the Mental Health Month spirit. pick up a flyer also located on the table in the back. We hope you will join us for a complete schedule of events for what's going on in the month of May. We ask that you go to our website, www.getourgreenon.org. That's www.getyourgreenon.org. And this month and in months following, let the citizens of Boynton Beach all stand up to bring mental health out of the darkness. Together we can start the conversation in our homes, in our workplace, in school, and faith communities. Be the change that you want to see. Be the change that you want to see. We thank you very much. And this is our committee of citizens right here in Boynton Beach. All of them have a passion to achieve awareness and education about mental health based on a lot of what's going on in our city as well as the county and state and this nation, as you know. We thank you again.
Thank you very much. And now we see that the Senator Bobby Powell has arrived, and so if we can get the legislative update. Yep.
Hey, Mr. Mayor and wonderful, is it Commission, the Boynton Beach
Commission, yeah,
City Commission? Hey, Commission, how are you all?
Great, Senator.
You're doing well.
Hi.
How can we help you?
It is great to be here. Mr. Durgan is getting ready to upload. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, our
great job.
legislative update PowerPoint. I am glad to be here in the city of Boynton Beach. This year, as you know, going back to Tallahassee, was a tough year. Most years are. But we were there on behalf of Boynton Beach and in the entirety of Palm Beach County to fight. Unfortunately, your senator who represents Boynton
Wasn't there.
So I jumped in and took care of it because 2016 and 17 I served as the chair of the Palm Beach County Legislative Delegation, and I was excited to be there to represent all of Palm Beach County this year, including and especially Boynton Beach. You can see, if we go to the next slide here, representing Palm Beach County, we have 3 senators, 1 senator-elect, recently Senator Lori Berman. We had 9 state representatives. We'll soon have a new state representative. One state representative who will be joining us pretty soon is probably in this building tonight. I'm not going to point anybody out, but we know that will be happening really soon. 160 legislators, 40 of us are senators. I'm in the Senate, and 120 are state reps. I used to be in the State House. That was way back when I was young, 2016, and now I'm in the Senate. I serve as the vice chair of the Transportation and Economic Development Appropriations Subcommittee, which is a very, very important committee, and also serve as the chair of the Joint Select Committee on Collective Bargaining. I serve on a lot of committees. In the Senate, all we do is serve on committee. So when you call me, I'm probably in committee in the Senate because there's 40 of us to match the work of 120 in the House. So when they're out of session or they're out of committee, we are generally in committee dealing with the work of the people of the state of Florida. Major session issues this year. The major session issues included gun safety reform. We'll talk about Senate Bill 7026. We'll get into that a little bit. Education, House Bill 7055, Senate Bill 4. Health care, nursing home generators. That was an issue. As you know, in Broward County, we lost several seniors because of the power outage during Hurricane Irma and not being able to have backup generators. Home rule is very important for Boynton Beach. Opioid legislation for all of Palm Beach County, including and especially Boynton Beach here. The tax package, $168 million of tax cuts once again, and then our $88.4 billion budget that we've dealt with in Tallahassee. As you know, every year we go to Tallahassee, there's only one bill that we have to pass, and that bill is the budget. So if we don't do the budget, which we left Tallahassee one time and did not do, we have to go back, or we have to stay into overtime to make sure we finish the budget. So we had an $88.4 billion budget, and many of you will say that at least this year we ended session on time. Because I'm married and my wife can tell me that I came home on Sunday, I'll tell you you're wrong, because we had to go into a 72-hour overtime because our budget was not ready by that Friday, March 9th. We ended up staying until March 11th to finish the budget. The biggest issue that we dealt with related to the Marjory Stoneman Douglas Act, this year on Valentine's Day, there was a massacre at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School that shifted the trajectory of the normal Senate. 17 people were killed at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. And for the first time in 20 years, the legislature took action with regard to gun safety reform. And in the first time in 20 years, we had a group of students who knew we were in Tallahassee. We were in session at the time. And those students came to Tallahassee and brought the fight to Tallahassee. What was really, really important is those students took action. And I've never seen it where you have political leaders or political figures who started to attack children. They've never done, usually they don't do it in person. They usually do it with policies. That's what legislators and elected officials do. They attack you through policy and you don't realize it until something happens and you're like, whoa, how did this happen that I can't get out of this? So we had one of our state representatives say, and I'm not in the House. I mean, I'm in the Senate. You know, we're more mature in the Senate. That's what they say. She said, "Who are children to tell us what to do? Children don't tell us what to do. We tell them what to do." Yeah. A lot of the children broke protocol, and adults as well who came with them to Tallahassee, and a lot of chants of vote them out were started in Tallahassee. A lot of things happened, but let me get into this legislation really quickly. This piece of legislation does a few things. It requires an age limit for buying firearms from 18 to 21. It requires a 3-day waiting period for all firearm purchases. It put a ban on bump stocks, which are those devices that are used to make weapons automatic. It combined a lot of our bills that we were pushing in the House. Senator-elect Lori Berman had a bill that was combined into this piece of legislation. $69 million was put in there for stakeholders regarding mental health services. That's important because in the state of Florida, we're 49th in the nation in terms of mental health funding. We're the third largest state, but when it comes to funding mental health issues, we're number 49. It's unacceptable. $98 million for school hardening. And then another $67 million for the school guardian program. That's this program that they call it the Marshall program, where either the sheriff's office can get with the school district to determine if someone inside of the school, not a teacher, see, that's where the play on the language is, no longer a teacher, but non-instructional personnel could carry a weapon in schools. I voted against this bill because of that piece of legislation, because of that particular issue. I also voted against the legislation because the students, they came and sat in my office in Tallahassee, and one of the things they asked for, Commissioner Romulus, was a ban on assault rifles. Yes. We failed them in Tallahassee by not banning assault rifles. Some of my colleagues would even say that, well, people use cars to kill people. There's fertilizer has been used to build bombs. Why don't we ban fertilizer? And my response on the floor of the Florida Senate was, if you can show me that an assault rifle was used for anything other than killing people, I'd agree with you. We should ban fertilizer. But last I checked, fertilizer was used for things like growing and grass and all the different things, our food. Cars were used primarily to take people back and forth. I don't know anything that an assault rifle is used for other than to kill a lot of people at one time. You can't go hunting with an assault rifle. So we still failed to ban assault rifles. And this legislation passed in Tallahassee. Opioid legislation. The gist of it is, in Palm Beach County, the numbers indicate that 552 people died or overdosed because of opioids here in Palm Beach County. In 2017, those numbers are probably similar. We don't have the numbers yet, but we know it's been an epidemic. So much of an epidemic that the governor put in a state of emergency and has continued to extend that state of emergency regarding and related to opioids. This year, we pushed a piece of legislation through the Senate called Senate Bill 8. And this piece of legislation, although not perfect, it starts the conversation and puts something on the books related to opioids so that we can slow down this epidemic. It creates a 3-day medically necessary program. A 3-day medically necessary and a 7-day supply limit on Schedule 2 controlled substance prescriptions. It creates a new definition for acute pain to more narrowly define what acute pain is so that doctors aren't just prescribing these opioids which become addictive to people all the time. It puts them through, prescribing practitioners through another 2-hour course of education in terms of prescribing these medications. And it requires healthcare providers to check the PDMPs before prescribing and dispensing these opioids. There's $53 million that was put in the budget to help fight and combat this issue. That $53 million, a majority of it does come from the federal government, but it's necessary for us to attack this issue from the front end here in Palm Beach County. Now, I will tell you that this piece of legislation will probably be adjusted again next year, but we had to do something in order to stop this or slow it down because too many people are dying here in the state of Florida regarding or related to opioid overdoses, and once they leave and they get off those prescriptions for opioids, they graduate to heroin or fentanyl or carfentanil, and it's really been an epidemic here, so we've got to stop that. Some of the pieces of legislation that we push, big piece was the Land Acquisition Trust Fund that we were able to take through the entire Senate and throughout the entire legislation process. In 2015, I think it was Amendment 1 that established the Land Acquisition Trust Fund that would allow us to buy lands back in the state of Florida for our environment. You know, this is a state where we can't say climate change, at least the governor said we couldn't. So we were able to push that piece of legislation in that bill to make sure it didn't expire in 2019. It would operate in perpetuity. We pushed the internship tax credit program that students would be able to go to college and then be able to go work for a company or a business and get an internship where they get real world experience. That did not pass the legislature. A few of the other things that were very, very important that we fought for dealt with mental illness and mental health. One of the other things that I'm very, very passionate about and will continue to be passionate about is this idea of direct file of juveniles in the adult prison system. That's where you take children from the ages of 14 to 17 and they are direct filed through the prosecutor's office or state attorneys into the adult prison system. And once they're filed as an adult, they will never have the opportunity to operate as a child again. And you and I and everybody in this room knows that the difference between 14 and 28 is a whole nother lifetime and a whole nother switch in mindset and mentality. So we've tried to work so that the judges would have discretion to look at it on a case-by-case basis so that there's a set of guidelines in terms that people will have to use to streamline that process so you couldn't just direct file these children into the adult prison system. At one point, Palm Beach County was number 1 in the nation. Florida has remained one of the top. It's been Palm Beach County, it's been Duval County, it's been Hillsborough County, where these prosecutors have direct filed a number of juveniles into the adult prison system. It has slowed down here in Palm Beach County, but just be cognizant because what I can tell you is there are people who won't come into the community when they're not in office or volunteer or do anything, but when it comes time to run for office, and I'll even say, you know, they may run for judge or may run for state attorney, but some of them are known for direct filing a lot of kids into the adult prison system. I digress and move on to our budget, the biggest bill that we have to pass, the only bill that we have to pass, an $88.4 billion budget. I want to point out a couple of things to you that about this budget that I liked and what I didn't like. I'll tell you inside of this budget, when we deal with education, the K through 12 system, we put in $15.7 billion. In that budget, we'll tell you all the good things we did for education, but what we won't brag about is the fact that overall for education, we only increased the per student funding by 47 cents. We here in the state of Florida have got to do better, and it's important that everyone knows that, because as we go forward, you have to be cognizant of what's going on in Tallahassee. We have pushed the School of Hope program. This is where a student who has been bullied in a public school can now apply for a voucher and take dollars from the public schools and go to a private school because he or she has been bullied. The problem with that legislation is, what happens to the bully? Does the bully, well, the bully stays in the school to continue bullying people. We have to figure out better ways to attack the problem, as opposed to dangling a carrot and saying we're really using this for this, when we know there's an ulterior motive behind it. Inside of this budget, also, we saw affordable housing. At one point, there were $322 million in the Senate budget for affordable housing. That's your state housing incentive loan program, state housing initiative partnership, the State Department incentive loan program. Those are funds that come from the Sadowski Act to try to make housing affordable throughout the state of Florida. That was whittled down to $109 million. A majority of that will be used for Hurricane Irma mitigation, as well as the State Department incentive loan program for apartment rental help. The problem with that is a lot of that money was shifted because of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act. We shifted, or I say shifted, we took trust funds, it's called trust for a reason, trust funds from the Sadowski Trust and pushed them into the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act. We have never taken, this was a gun bill, and we had not ever taken funds from the gun trust fund, which last year we passed a piece of legislation to reduce the amount people had to pay on concealed weapons because there was too much money in there. Too much money. Think about it. Criminal justice, civil justice, we spent $5.2 billion. Environmental and natural resources, we spent $100 million on the Florida Forever program, which was big. And then appropriations that we were able to bring home here in Palm Beach County. A lot of things we lost, and this is just a short list of some of the things that we were able to be successful in getting. But a lot of things we lost because they shifted a lot of the member projects due to the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act, Senate Bill 7026, and there was a lot of funding put in that. I will point out that we were able to get money in the budget for the Jerome Golden Center. It was originally at like $1 million. It went down to $200,000. That's a mental health issue here in Palm Beach County. We've got to do better in terms of fighting for mental health, fighting for these issues that deal with us, and fighting for Palm Beach County as a whole. Boynton Beach issues. You'll recognize and you'll be glad to know that Palm Beach County as a whole, our delegation made sure that these home rule challenges that we continue to have in Tallahassee were not successful. There were 4 things that were home rule preemptions that could have come up in Tallahassee this year that could have passed, but they were swatted down and failed. At least one of them I know passed the House, and they brought it to the Senate, and we stopped it. And that, the legislation, we dealt with tree trimming. This would have preempted local governments from regulating the removal of trees on private property. This was an Irma-related issue, so they said at least that's the way it was pushed. Usually something like this is pushed by one entity that has a large interest. That failed to move throughout the floor. I don't think that will come back next year. But be careful, because this is the 3rd year that we've had to deal with election dates for municipal offices. That means that the state would tell you, the local government, that you need to have your local election in November. Only November, because it saves money, you're doing it at the time of the general, and that's what we want. We knocked that down again this year for the 3rd time, and if it's the 3rd time, trust me, it'll come back again next year. We were able to stop that because it would have preempted your ability to determine when you wanted to have your elections. Vacation rentals. It would have preempted all regulations on vacation rentals to the state and nullified any ordinances that you already have in place. And then community redevelopment associations. If you haven't heard, we've already gotten rid of enterprise zones through Tallahassee. We eliminated enterprise zones because our legislature felt that it was creating what they call slush funds for communities and for businesses to go in. So they also felt that CRAs were similar. And this bill would have significantly deterred locals from using CRA funding to benefit their communities, and it outlined programs and outlined a way to phase them out. That also died and didn't make it all the way through the Senate or the legislature. But be careful, because these same issues potentially could come back next year. Usually they try this and try it and try it until they get it. And we have to be strong in our passion and committed and convicted to make sure that the bad stuff that comes to Tallahassee doesn't get all the way through. You'll have a new senator this year who will join our team. It'll be Senator Lori Berman. But always, I am here as one of the senators that continues to fight for all of Palm Beach County. And what I will tell you, I'm convicted and I'm passionate about our communities and making sure that we get our piece of the pie for the state of Florida and Palm Beach County as a whole. So we'll continue to fight for you, even if I'm not the representative. And also on behalf of Representative Al Jaquette, who could not be here tonight, he wanted to wish you all well and tell you that he's continuing to fight for you. I will tell you that the most important people in my office, sometimes people think it's me when it's really not. I'm just there to do the standing and the yelling and the, not really yelling, but the back and forth. The people who do the research and prop me up to make me look really good. The people who have the most knowledge are my legislative assistants. And if they don't have the most knowledge, I go back and forth with them to make sure they get the most knowledge. Here with us tonight is Mr. Benjamin Durgan. He's my legislative assistant who was with us in Tallahassee, specializing in a lot of the policy issues and a lot of the budget issues, sitting down with me and giving me time to learn some of these things so that when they came up, we'd be ready for them. And then Ms. Marion Dozier, who is not here with us tonight, but was in the office earlier. Our contact information is up there. If you need anything, trust me, give me a call. Our office number is 561-650-6880. And it's Bobby Powell, Jr., State Senator for District 30, but representing all of Palm Beach County, especially Mayor Grant and this entire commission. I'm here for you. A life of service is indeed a life that counts. Thank you so much. Now we'll entertain any questions, comments, or conversation related to our 2018 legislative session.
Mayor.
Yes, would you like to go first?
Senator Powell, appreciate everything that you have done for the city of Boynton.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'd like to do one correction. You referred to Commissioner Romulus. Commissioner Romulus.
Oh, that's
She's
right.
Vice Mayor Romulus now by unanimous
You know
vote
what?
of the
I do
peers up
apologize,
here.
Vice
Thank you,
Mayor
sir.
Romulus. Please forgive me.
Senator, thank you so much for all that you did for Boynton Beach. We were without a senator this legislative session, and you really stepped up, helping support the bills that we had from the House. And I believe we did get $250,000 for a water reclamation project. And we look forward to you serving in Palm Beach County in the future.
Oh, thank you so much, Mayor Grant. And I will tell you that I heard from just about everybody. I don't think there was anybody here that I didn't hear from this year in session. And I can't forget that I did hear from your city manager quite a few times as well. So thank you for continuing to fight. And I will tell the audience here that you have a commission that fights for you and that calls and makes sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing all 63 days that we were in Tallahassee this year. It's supposed to be 60.
I'd just like to add, Senator Powell, I'd like to thank you for your tenacity and your knowledge up there and getting things actually done and bills approved. And you should be commended for that. Once again, thank you for taking up the slack here for us here in Boynton Beach and being part of that team. And we look forward to working with you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Commissioner Costello. I almost, these titles get in my head. What I can tell you is that teamwork makes the dream work, and being able to work with the team who's able to help us get to where we need to be and giving us the information that's necessary allows us to push forward. There is no I in team, but there is an M and an E. So when we work together, me with you, we can get the job done.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you all so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
Now we will open it up to public audience. Individual speakers will be limited to 3-minute presentations. Please state your name and address for the record before you begin.
Hi, my name's Winna Dunmeyer. I live at 84 Maple Lane here in Boynton Beach for the last 16 years. This is my son, Ben Dunmeyer. I'm here representing Moms Demand Action. I'm a volunteer. Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America started over 5.5 years ago with one mom the day after Sandy Hook and has now turned into 4.5 million supporters across the nation. We've grown from 13 groups here in Florida to 3 in Palm Beach County to over 32 in the state of Florida. Moms Demand Action respects the Second Amendment and feels that common gun sense laws and the Second Amendment can go hand in hand. We're here to ask for a mayoral proclamation for End Gun Violence Day, which is June 2nd, coming up. We understand that the city can't really do much with regards to gun legislation because of the draconian preemption law that the state has put into place. I do know that there are a couple lawsuits happening throughout the state that are attacking that preemption law, and we can file an amicus brief in support of those. But back to End Gun Violence Day, the color for gun violence is orange because it's the color that hunters use. It's a color of hope, and it's a color that keeps hunters safe and others safe, so that's why we wear orange. We've already got our Wear Orange gear ready to go. We have submitted the information to the city clerk, and we ask that anyone interested in Moms Demand Action look for us online. We have meetings all over the county all of the time. We need to stop 96 people dying every day. 96 people die every day from guns in this country, and people in America are 25 times more likely to die, to be murdered by guns than other industrialized nations. I think we can all agree that any legislation that can keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people keeps us all safe, and that includes police officers, students, everyone. Moms Demand Action is not just moms. It's moms, it's volunteers, it's students 13 and up, it's educators, it's gun owners, and it's also, and very most importantly, gun survivors, which we honor at our meetings regularly, as well as Gun Violence Day on June 2nd. And thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Dunmeyer, I'd like to address your request for a proclamation. I believe I was told by the city clerk that it would have to be at the discretion of the mayor to allow for that proclamation to occur.
So, yeah, if you could forward me a copy.
Can I give you one right now?
Sure.
Okay.
And your request is to have that at our May 15th meeting, correct?
Nope, that'll be it.
Your model was great there. Yeah.
Thank
you. Gabe Ehrman, E-R-M-I-N-E. Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, distinguished panel.
Have your address?
Sure, 8933 Sydney Harbor Circle. It's in Delray Beach. Thank you for letting me take this public comment to introduce myself to the panel as well to the residents of Boynton Beach. I'm an attorney here, and I am running for judge in Palm Beach County in Group 4. It's an open seat. Judge Evans, who's been in Group 4 for a very long time, is retiring.
Gabe, you need to speak into the microphone.
Oop,
So
I'm
you
sorry.
keep on looking to the audience. We can't hear you.
Okay. Judge Evans is retiring, and I'm trying to go into his seat in Group 4 as a Palm Beach County judge. I've been in Palm Beach County since 1985. For the past 12 years, I've been living in Delray Beach. While I live in Delray Beach, Boynton Beach is very special to my family. My parents live in Boynton Beach. My wife is a doctor in private practice in Boynton Beach. She rounds at Bethesda Hospital every single day before she sees her patients in her office. I've been in public service my entire career. I was a judicial intern. I was a prosecutor, and I'm currently a public defender where I've been for about 12 years. I'm in court every single day. I've tried over 100 jury trials to verdict. At this point in my career, I specialize in homicide and death penalty litigation. I'm first chair qualified to handle death penalty litigation, and that's what I do pretty much on a daily basis. I was handed this green ribbon for mental health awareness. I'm in courts every day. In the criminal justice system, mental health awareness isn't just in the month of May. I see it every single day. I've represented people in specialized courts such as drug court, veterans court, and mental health court on numerous of occasions. And I also just heard Senator Powell talk about direct files, and he's 100% right. There is a huge difference between 14 and 28. I have personally represented just recently a minor, a child, charged as an adult in a second-degree murder case. So thank you very much. On August 28th, everyone's going to go to the ballot, and on the top of the ballot is going to be the governor, the senators. Down at the bottom of the ballot are going to be a bunch of names of people running for judge. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for letting me introduce myself, Gabe Ehrman. So now, Boynton Beach will at least have a name to face to one of those names on the ballot. Thank you.
Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. Commissioner Casello, it's your lucky week. You've gotten packets 2 weeks in a row. So they'll give Mayor Grant something to read while he's on his way to Haiti. I just wanted to remind everyone, first of all, that the bird count is this Saturday. Take 10 minutes out of your life and go to one of the many bird watching charities and input your bird counts. It's 10 minutes of your life and it makes a tremendous difference. So please do that if you can. What I've passed out is some information. I'm sure Commissioner Katz has seen this. It was in the NEA magazine, the last one, that the National Teachers magazine. I thought it was especially important to notice because we have a lot of talk in here a lot of the time about some of the poorer areas in our city and some of the disadvantaged areas, and we kind of wonder sometimes how these things happen and how they've perpetuated and what we can do to move them forward. And I actually found very interesting the first page, front and back. I never knew a lot of this. It explains a lot of the situation that goes on. This does impact our schools, obviously, but it's all about the housing policies that have existed in this country and how it's impacted our society, how it's impacted our neighborhoods, and is currently impacting our schools. So I think it would make a really good read for everyone. But I hope you guys enjoy it and we'll take heart and look at it and see if we can't use this information, Commissioner Casello, hopefully in your future endeavors, but all of us as we move forward to make our schools better and make our community better, because I think it really would make a difference. The second piece of paper, the front, talks about attendance. This is my big bug, is we have, and I remember our school board rep said something last year too, attendance is a massive problem. We have so many kids out so much of the time, it's not even funny. And then the last page, of course, is, I don't want to waste paper, so there's some information on Earth Day, because I can never get you enough stuff about trees, and I wish I had put the source down, but I didn't, so I'm sorry. But it's neat to read about, where all the toilet paper comes from, and 27,000 trees die every day for our toilet paper. So thank you very much.
I would think that's a good thing.
Good evening, Mayor Grant, Vice Mayor Romulus, City Commission. My name is Alcoya St. Just. I am also a candidate, but for Circuit Judge here, Group 13. My address is 4887 Lombard Pass Drive. It's Lake Worth, but it's Western Boynton in my mind. It's important for me to be here because I'm born and raised in Boynton Beach. I was born at Bethesda. I attended school at Poinciana Elementary School. I then went to Lantana Middle School and Lake Worth High School. My mom still lives here in this wonderful city. And just a little bit about myself. I am an attorney now. I've been practicing here in Palm Beach County for about 14 and a half years. My practice, when I opened my private practice, it started here, obviously in my hometown of Boynton Beach. I represent children and parents involved in juvenile dependency cases. I do that work through a contract with the state where I represent indigent parents who are unable to afford legal representation. And I work really hard to ensure that they get the best representation that they can have to deal with that system. I also represent children involved in the dependency system, those children who have been abused, abandoned, or neglected, but have also the special needs of being involved in human trafficking, having some mental health needs and being considered for placement in a mental health facility, children that are prescribed psychotropic medication, and children with educational needs. It's important for me to ensure that the work that I do is representative and of a good report. I have been vetted by the Judicial Nominating Commission, considered for appointment to a judicial seat, and now, after being sent up to the governor and having not been selected, I've made the determination to go for election. I'm hoping to gain your support for that election. It's August 28th again, and I am happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ricky Petty, Director, Healthier Boynton Beach, 970 North Seacrest Boulevard. I come to you today to first just thank our city manager, also our chief of police, and everyone that was at the table that met with Mr. Hayes and Mr. Russ concerning the issue that they had at the park. There was an issue that they had at Sarah Sim Park, and they was able to come together and come up with a solution for that. So I thought that was commendable, and I really want to thank them for taking time to meet with everyone and come up with a solution to do that. And also thank for the quick response, even allowing the city police to come out there and participate in the basketball game. It was a beautiful event. I just want to thank them for that.
Are you going to mention how you whipped them?
Yeah, they did get beat pretty bad, but but it was a win for everyone at the end. Secondly, just want to talk to you about Healthier Boynton Beach. Basically what we did, we was able to provide 8 grants to local organizations and churches here in our community for a total of $30,000. So I thought that was really great for us. Yeah. And for those that are not aware of Healthier Boynton Beach, basically what we are is our goal is to improve healthy outcomes for family caregivers here in Boynton Beach. And basically how we're going to do that, we're going to raise awareness, because many people that are caregivers, they don't recognize themselves as caregivers. So we want to raise awareness so that they could be aware that they are caregivers. Secondly, we want to educate individuals about caregiving because they're not familiar with the services that's available to them. So we want to make sure that they understand that, and we want to provide that services to them. And thirdly, we want to promote health and wellness, because these caregivers, they do a lot with these individuals that they provide and care for, and sometimes they neglect their own care, and we want to make sure that they continue to stay healthy, safe, and strong so they can continue to do a great job at providing care for their loved ones. So those are some of the things that we're doing with Healthier Boynton Beach, and I want to share that information with you all. And lastly, on May 31st, we're going to be having a community conversation at St. John. And basically that community conversation is to address different issues as it relates to law enforcement and residents. And I think what we did or we experienced with the Sarah Sims in the park, you know what I'm saying, that's just a good example of some of the things that we want to do more of and bring the community together also with law enforcement. So thank you and appreciate it.
Excuse me. Hello. You didn't give us a time. You said May 31st, but no time.
It's May 31st. It's going to be at 6 o'clock at St. John.
How everybody doing? My name is Javaris Russ, and I'm a member, resident of Boynton Beach, Florida. Forgive me if I'm a little nervous or whatever, but I just wanted to address the Palm Beach County. I'm throwed off right now. I'm sorry. This is my first time talking in anyway. But first of all, I would like to address District 2 Commissioner Matt McCray. We had an issue with the Peace in the Hood basketball game. I got his number for someone, and I called him. I reached out just to try to solve the issue with our commissioner, and right away you kind of got unruly and like you already had knew what was going on and got agitated and hung the phone up on me. I didn't appreciate that. So that made us go and set a meeting with the city manager where what Rick just said, she had met up with us, me, Maurice Hayes, Joy Harris, and a few others, and came up with a solution to where we wouldn't have to get the game shut down, which I didn't agree with the police just coming in and just shoving everybody out, but that was in the past. So they came out. I thank you for responding to that and having everything go smooth from that point on. But the issue today is we wanted to get the ban lifted off of having an event at the park, if we did want to have an event at the park, because what the city manager was telling us is that there is a ban on the park, so we wanted to see what we can do or what has to be done to get that ban lifted so we can have birthday parties, family reunions, and things of that nature, because we can't do anything if it's a ban, even if we wanted to. It's a lot of things that's going on in Boynton as far as construction around the city of Boynton, but not in the city of Boynton where I live at. I know for a fact that we had a penny sale tax, and it's monies that's available for the roads and infrastructure to get fixed. But I have a pothole outside of my house right now. I can ride down any street in Boynton and I'll see potholes everywhere. The money that is for that is not being used for that, you know. So I just wanted to know, where can we get a list of things that has been done, is planning to be done, or is already done, you know? So
as for so what we do for the surtax is we have our capital improvement plan. And so if you have an email address or would like a paper copy, if you can get with the clerk, we can tomorrow probably get you that list of everything that is going on with our capital improvement plan. As for the ban on Sarah Sims, it was enacted when someone was
okay, I only got a few seconds left. We have 13 weeks of no issues at the park.
And so the situation that we have right now is that the park is under construction, and so we will definitely look into that. You know,
not at the moment, though.
Huh?
Not at the moment.
Well, we have a pre-input budget meeting on the 29th, and so we may.
Is there any way that someone that...
And so it would take some time to have the lawyers undo that resolution banning the events there. And so
okay,
it is, and it's like
a plan for the park.
There is a $1.3 million renovation, I believe, starting in June or July.
Probably early fall. It may closer to September.
September?
Yeah, because we're bidding it out in the process now.
So
I never heard about anything that's going to be going on with the park in our neighborhood that we live in.
Yeah, we've had different events over at the Carolyn Simsutters in 2017 regarding what we are going to see in the park. I believe
when we meet again in May, on the 21st, we're going to meet again. I'll bring in the plan and show you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Russ, excuse me, before you leave, first of all, you did not give your address. Okay, let me explain to you why you said I was rude. That night everything happened. I must have had about 15 phone calls, sir. I'm just saying, for you, I will apologize. But let me explain something. The meeting that you all had with the city manager and this staff, that was through my advice. I'm just saying, you know, they don't move unless they said, Commissioner, you think it's a good idea. I thought it was a great idea. Not only after that, but the mayor got a lot of phone calls the next morning. My phone kept ringing as well.
It should have.
But let me explain, sir. I appreciate what you said. But let me explain to you. You all are the group that needs to be at these commission meetings telling us what to do. You all
We're here.
Sir, you're here only for tonight. I'm just saying, please let me finish.
We're here tonight. This starts now.
Okay, good. Let me finish. Okay, the reason I'm saying this is that you are the group that seems to have forgotten. I'm just saying, you know, sometimes we forget that you all vote. I
voted for you, and you hung up on me.
This is what I'm saying.
I voted for you, and you hung up on me.
Sir, let me finish. Let me finish.
One person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me finish. I appreciate your vote. Now let me go ahead and finish. I'm just saying, although, you know, a lot of times we think that, you know, we have forgotten you all, we have not, but I applaud you all for going and saying that you all want to do peace in the hood. I didn't understand what hood meant until y'all said it was for the neighborhood. After that night that the police showed up with their gear on and everything, I want to tell them thank you as well, because when they came out in full force. I work on Wednesday night, I work in Fort Lauderdale at Mizell and Kurt's funeral home. But that night, I must have got about 20 phone calls and pictures of the police officers with those individuals on that basketball court saying this is great, this is what we need. Sir, I applaud you all with your comments.
Okay.
I'm still your commissioner. If I've offended you, I apologize, but my take is that, you know, a lot of times when people call us and they start, you know, yelling at us, I had about 15 calls before I even got yours, but my take is that we did not forget you all, and like I'm saying is that, you know, that is a neighborhood park. It's for all of us to use, and I'm just saying, I'm glad that you all want to take your park back and do things there, because we don't want to spend $1.3 million and invest in that park and there's no activity. I'm glad you all are starting to let us know that you all want to use your park. That's why we want to fix it up for you, sir.
Okay. Is there any way for you to be at that meeting on May 21st?
What?
Is there any way for you to be at the meeting on May 21st?
At 1 o'clock.
Sir, if that's what you're telling me to do, I'll be there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Mayor?
Yes.
I would also like to add to just some information regarding what you gave to the gentleman. On our website, we also have an actual tab for the penny sales tax that has completed projects, future projects, and current projects. So you can see all that information, everything that we've done, everything that we're working on, everything that will be done in the future regarding the money that you all are paying. I'm sorry, when I say you all, I mean taxpayers are paying the extra penny on that. So that's available on the website as well. But you can also email the city clerk, and we can get that information directly to you as well.
How you doing? My name's Tori Orr from Boynton Beach.
Yeah, can we have your street address too?
407 Northwest 17th Avenue.
Thank you.
And I'm here concerned about the park as well. You know, about the policing. You know, I just want a fair practice in the policing of all of Boynton Beach. You know, because things we see, we know they ain't doing everywhere else. You know, areas focuses on Sarah Sims about the area being targeted by the Boynton Beach police, being related to homicides of 2018. Local activists have come together to aid to prevent of a further crime by sponsoring youth and family-friendly activities in the park. Bans need to be lifted. 13 weeks, no issues. You know, no issues. I got another thing I want to ask about, you know. On District 2, I don't see no affordable housing, access to healthy food choices, summer recreation activities we could go in, because you got a big old center over there, but they can't just go in at will. If it's for the kids, it's for the kids, not for the adults. We got no free lunch programs. When Sarah Sims, when she was here, Carolyn Sims, she made sure for that. You know, access to programs in low-income areas at District 2. I can't speak for nowhere else because I'm from District 2. I've been there 25 years. You know what I'm saying? I ain't seen nothing. I just want to know, you know, when things going to change for our district.
Well, first off, I would like to, is this the first time you're here in the 25 years? And so I want to say thank you, and to Russ as well, coming up here for the first time and getting your voices heard for the first time. This is the start of the process. It's going to be, you know, I'm sorry, one of the things I say is that government can change fast, but it moves slow. And so we are going to change in the direction that you would want it to change into, but you're going to have to be here through that process. We have 3 meetings every month at 6:30 on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Tuesday of each month. And I look forward to seeing you and apprising us of all the information that is going on in District 2.
Thank you.
Minister Bernard Wright, CEO of Bernard Wright Ministries, the Robert Wells Foundation, and Real Talk Radio. God bless everyone on the dais and everyone in the audience. Bid you farewell and Godspeed on your trip. I want to commend Barbara, the Historic Research Preservation Board. Thank God for them. They have been very, instrumental and prosperous in way of our history being recognized today. We still do have an ongoing historical research project going on. So if you have family members or pictures of how it was, however far you can go back, send them to, I don't know who have taken that position from Warren Adams, but send it there and we'll be recorded. And we just want to give thanks to this Historic Research Preservation Board that we have in Boynton, and the commissioner, who we also have to get their votes in regards to things of this nature. I also want to commend you brothers and sisters who have come here today from District 2. This is the beginning of a process that you need to engage yourself in, and it's great because they are elected officials. I want to first apologize to anyone who have been offended in my last 2 sessions, because I am passionate about any issue, but I just say that I can guarantee and attest that my issues are relevant. And the thing that we have, that when we do come up here, a lot of times we have to take petitions because people don't come, they don't feel like they're being recognized, and when they get through bringing an issue before you, whether it's relevant or not, they do not get any appropriate feedback. And you know, people got feelings too, and so I understand, you know, systemically that it is good not to engage in dialogue because it costs for a whole lot of time in that respect. But I want to talk about this Carolyn Sims Center, where our children are being deprived from free access during the summertime and have been for the last 7 years. You have a letter, Attorney Chair, from my attorney, which is also the community attorney, regarding this issue. And we trust that by the end of the week you will get in touch with us, because we are, and she did advise you in this letter, that are prepared to litigate in the court. And this is something we don't want to do because we don't want to be antagonistic. We elect you people. I go to my limits today and doing things for this great city. And it's at the expense of my wife having sacrificed with my family. And we don't want to be antagonistic and hostile about any relevant issue in respect to our community. You know, my great-grandfather being, you know, a leader of the Negro Civic League when we couldn't sit on this dais. So I want to say that we want to be in harmony and a spirit of peace and love, and seeing that the people in the district get what is their best interest. And that's my take. That's my position. Y'all just keep me in prayer, because it's a very enormous event that I'm going to, May the 12th, going to put us on the map by the grace of God. Majority of the celebrities will be there, and I do have something to say in great interest of our people. And God bless everybody, and we're still in a spirit, a prophetic spirit of a better Boynton. God bless you.
Ramona Young, 101 South Federal Highway, Boynton. I came for education. I sold my house in West Boynton and moved to 101 South Federal Highway. And I need to be educated on your water process, because I paid about $40 a month in West Boynton for my water usage. And there were 2 people there at the time. I'm one person in a 2-bedroom apartment. I used $1.07 of water, and I used $1.40 of sewage. My bill is $73.88, and I can't reconcile that in my head. So with all their little fee for this, fee for that, fee for the other, $25 for the trash, I don't have $25 worth of trash. I mean, and it sounds funny, but it's not funny, because it's an impact. When you go from $40 a month for 2 people washing clothes every week, and you wash clothes now every other week because there's only 1 person, and you have $1. I used $1.04 worth of water. So I want to know, who do I talk to? How do I find out why the bill is so high, and what can be done about it? Because this is absolutely ridiculous.
Our Assistant City Manager, Colin Groff, is in the back of the chambers, and he's...
And what he's going to do, placate me on what this is?
He's the one who's going to explain everything.
Because somebody... Where's the money going?
He's going to let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Ed Brooks, 15 East Ocean Avenue, Ocean Ridge. I'm not sure what your rules of order are. Do you speak up front, or can you speak as each agenda item comes up? I was going to talk on Agenda 10.
Okay, if you'd like, I'll put that open to the public, and you can speak at that time.
speak at that time.
Thank you for letting me know.
And really impressed with some of your speakers here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ray Whiteley, 223 Northeast 12th Avenue, Boynton Beach, Florida. I wasn't planning to say anything tonight, but after these young men came and I spoke, I just wanted to follow up and just thank the city manager and the commissioners for receiving them. They have an organic movement going on. We are starting to see in District 2 a diversity in people. We're seeing Christians, we're seeing non-Christians, we're seeing old, we're seeing young come together saying one thing: we just want our community to be better. So I appreciate you guys for coming in, and I appreciate you for wanting to be a part of this process, and I'm just praying and asking the dais to just continue to encourage them. The CRA, it is in the CRA district, so I'm encouraging us to reach out to the CRA. He's not the CEO, right? The
Executive Director?
Yes, and just ask them to really reach out to him and have some conversations. How could we work together to make our community a better place to live, work, and play? That's our saying? Okay, so thank you very much. You guys are doing an awesome job, man. An awesome job. I see our city moving in a direction that I haven't seen it moved in I've been here since 1985. So I really appreciate you for doing what you do. I may not live in the city, but I work in the city. My church is in the city, and my heart is also here. Hopefully, when the real estate market change, I could sell that house and move back to Boynton. If anybody have some money to help me get out of there, or even want to buy the house, talk to me afterwards. But thank you, and God bless you all.
Seeing no more public audience, moving on to administrative. We have, I believe, no appointments, and we have available spots on 4 advisory boards: our Arts Commission, Building Board of Adjustments and Appeals, the Employee Pension Board, and the Senior Advisory Board. Next, moving on to consent agenda. Would someone like to pull an item on consent agenda?
To approve.
I'd like to just pull item G.
Should have said so.
Do I have a motion to second?
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is approved. For item G, I saw that we're renewing our contract with Aon Hewitt, our pension consultant. Are we going to get a report this year? Lori?
Yeah, you had your call today, Tim? We should be getting it very shortly.
Okay.
Tim Howard, Assistant City Manager. Yeah, the original contract was for 1 year. We renewed it, so we were covered to finish it. The draft should come in the next couple weeks for Lori and I to review, and then there's a couple other processes before we'll meet with the commission.
Okay. Thank you. All right, may I have a motion to approve item G?
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is approved. Bids and purchases over $100,000. Approve an increase to the estimated expenditure to Ray Rig, Pacific, Orlando, Florida, from $100,000 to $125,000 per city bid for molded refuse containers and parts due to development in the city and the need to replace existing containers.
I have questions.
All right.
Tim, are these the plastic containers or the metal containers?
These are the plastic containers that are picked up by the trucks.
Okay, let me ask another question. What are we doing about the storage of these containers in District 2? I'm just saying, you can see them from 95. It makes us look bad, and I'm just trying to figure it out. A lot of people that live over in that district said that they're being infested by rats. That's coming from our operation over there. What are we doing?
Hold on one second.
Good evening, Andrew Mack, Director of Public Works Engineering. This is something that working with Dwight Salter on, and possibly looking at putting transplanting some of the landscaping that we have here in Town Square over onto that site to hide and mask that. And we're also looking at doing some type of shelter on putting up behind the building so that they're masked from 95.
Will there be like a burn that's over there? I have another question. I was going to Lake Worth, and right outside of where we store things, I seen a garbage can outside the fence by 95. What is the reason? Why is that there?
That one, I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
Okay, somebody need to check into it.
Sure.
I'm the one that can see bad things just like everybody else in District 2 can see bad things, and then we have to make a report. But I'm just saying, when we have city employees that rise around daily and see things that need to be picked up and don't pick up, and I have to call, I'm just saying, sometimes I question the payment of why we're paying some employees. I'm just saying, but I appreciate everything that you all are doing, but we need to do more. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Vice Mayor, you have a comment?
I did want to comment the fact that we just completely brushed over the fact that we have a new director of public works. I would love to, honor him or at least let everybody know who our new director of public works is at this point.
Mayor and
Congratulations.
Commission?
Yes.
Andrew Mack, our new Director of Public Works.
Well,
Thank you. I look forward to it. I do look forward to.
You won't be saying that later.
I do looking forward to hiring my replacement for Director of Development, so I won't have to do two jobs. But I am proud and honored to serve the city in this capacity. Thank you.
All right, but what we need to say, Mr. Mack, is that you're not a new employee. You're one that's seasoned here with us. And I'm just saying, when you came down to talk about the containers, I'm saying, what does that have to do with development? And I thought about it. Okay. Yeah, I have to switch hats as well. Thank you. You do well.
Thank you.
Work with me. I work with you.
Is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Award bid number 14-1211-18IT for removal, replacement, and installation of field netting at Little League Park, and authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order to Ansco Inc. of Boca Raton, Florida as the lowest responsible bidder in the total amount of $160,607 with a 10% contingency for a total approved amount of $176,670.70. Award is contingent upon the receipt and approval of insurance and performance and payment guarantee.
I have questions.
Okay.
I'm glad this is coming before us, but it needs to be explained to the public why we're spending $176,000+ for the Little League field. And I'm just saying, Mr. Howard, you're going to address some questions. I'm just saying, when was the last time we replaced?
Replace the netting, I believe it was 2002, Lori? Is that what?
Yeah,
2002. This was damaged during Hurricane Irma. So we had to go out to bid for the bid process to award. This will also be turned into FEMA and the insurance to be reimbursed once we issue the purchase order and pay the bill.
Okay, that's the part that I need for the citizens to hear, is that if we spend the $176,000 plus, that FEMA is going to reimburse us, so that we're really not putting out any money from the city, that if we're going to get our money
Eventually,
back.
it'll get reimbursed.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
All right, Commissioner Casello.
Tim, is there a method for lowering that netting when a storm is predicted like that? I know at the golf course they have them like on pulleys. They can actually lower the netting.
I really have no idea, Commissioner, to be honest with you.
Andrew Mack, Director of Public Works. It is attached permanently, but we can remove it if there's a storm coming. There's some bolts and stuff. We'd have to take it down. But it's designed to withstand it, the new ones.
Okay, so it wouldn't behoove us to set up some type of raising and lowering system for the future? It wouldn't be financially feasible to do that, or?
Yeah, correct. Right now the way would be with a boom and lift, and it would be dropped down. It can be done. It will be done if we do get a storm.
Why wasn't it done this storm here?
That I can't say.
Well,
I don't know.
think that's part of our regular hurricane preparedness.
Well, for $176,000, maybe we should make it part of it?
Well, I think Andrew's saying it's designed to withstand the winds, the newer construction. What we had up there was 16 years old.
It survived Wilma and the other hurricanes from 2004.
It's just the age of the product
more
as well.
16 years of age.
The sun really does
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any further discussion from the board? Do we have a first and second?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Public hearing. The City Commission will conduct these public hearings in its dual capacity as local planning agency and City Commission. Proposed ordinance number 18-005. Jim?
An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 25.1 of the City Code regarding communication facilities in the public rights-of-way, implementing the Advanced Wireless Infrastructure Deployment Act, making factual and legislative findings, adopting and amending regulations related to, without limitation, placement, maintenance, and replacement of wireless and other communication facilities in the city's rights-of-way, co-location of small wireless facilities on existing utility poles, placement of new utility poles, insurance and surety bond requirements, permitting procedures and requirements, appeals, safety regulations, waivers, review deadlines, definitions, registration of communication service providers and fees, providing objective design standards for City Commission authority, codification, severability codification, and an effective date.
Any discussion from the board? Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes.
That was a group that was here. I'm just saying they sent us emails and stuff. I'm just saying, did they have a presentation? If they didn't have a presentation, sir, I don't need anybody else to tell me nothing. Thank you. I'm good. Just want to make sure that they wasn't here.
Yes, I received some emails from the attorneys of the telecommunication companies saying that our ordinance is acceptable. And I also spoke with Ian Cotner from AT&T. And we have a first and second. Is there any further discussion from the board? This is a second reading. Any discussion from the audience? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Bats?
Yes.
Commissioner McCrae?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ramos? Commissioner Casello?
Yes.
And Mayor Grant?
Yes.
The vote is 5-0.
Next, moving to unfinished business, to consider the recommendation from the Recreation Parks Board as presented by the Board Chair Petty Pierce Rowe, not allowing dogs on the beach at Oceanfront Park. I think we're going to let Ms. Pierce Rowe speak and then open it up to public comments, and then we'll have a discussion on the board, from the board.
Thank you, Mayor. Wally Majors, Recreation and Parks Director. As you indicated, Betty Pierce Rowe is the chairperson of the Recreation and Parks Board, and tonight she's here to present the recommendation of the board as it relates to allowing dogs at the beach at Oceanfront Park.
Thank you. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Betty Pierce Rowe. I am the chair of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. I've been a volunteer for it for 20 years. My address is 637 Oak Street. A task was given to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to make a recommendation to the City Commission on the question of whether dogs should be permitted at the Ocean Park. It is an informal online survey was taken, and I don't know if all of you had seen this survey. It was Survey Monkey, and the results provided to the board, in which 879 responses were received. Originally they said it was 1,100, but they went back through to find out that there were several emails that people had sent with the same IP address. Also, we had a public input discussion at our meetings in February and on March. The survey response submitted showed 70% answered yes to dogs at a beach. About 50-50 split said dogs should be on leashes or they should not be on leashes. Over 70% of these people that responded had dogs. 67% would be willing to pay a fee to bring a dog up to the park. There were here 37 pages of comments that were made. Most concerns were with cleanliness, enforcement, protection of private property. I just pulled a few that were here on the first page. The first response was, we don't need more waste on our beautiful beaches. I also had, Florida has over 600 miles of coastline. Dogs should be able to enjoy some of it. We would love to have a place for our dogs to swim. Who will clean up? That was one of the biggest questions. Who will clean up the sand? One that I noticed was, I walk early a.m. or at late p.m. to avoid crowds. The current illegal dogs on the beach run and jump on me. They bite me. They shake their filthy water on me. When I ask the owners to please call their dogs, they assure me that they are just friendly and won't hurt me. I don't like being attacked. If made legal, I'm afraid the dogs will be more numerous and they might fight each other. We are not against dogs. Another comment here is I've even been to Dog Beach in Juneau many times, and I have a dog, and it's always clean, and both the dogs and their owners are good all the time. Just here, we were unable to find information on dog parks on a beach as small as oceanfront. That was one of the things that we wanted to do. You look at Jupiter and some of the other beaches that are up there, you have 1, 2, 3 miles of beach. Oceanfront Park is a very small area. I was up there Sunday and just having everybody there, the parking lot's full, the beach is full. So we took that also in consideration from the survey, from people, and actually we had some of our board members speak to people on the beach and how they felt. The points taken in consideration were what authority would be responsible for enforcement. Personnel would cost about $20,000 to $25,000 a year for somebody to be there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the early morning or late afternoon, because that's what they were looking for when the dogs could be at the park. Restrictions against encroaching on private property to the north and the south of the park. We did have some people come to our meetings that live in Ocean Ridge, and that was a big concern of theirs is if the dogs are on leashes, are not on leashes, how can we make sure that they stay in the smaller area? Comments for public comment at the meeting concerns were wildlife, as well as protection of turtle eggs and nests. I don't know if you realize, but between April 1st and October 31st, that is turtle nesting. And again, dogs do like to dig, or children like to dig. But again, that was a concern about wildlife. They felt that beach area was too small to separate dogs from humans. Bacteria on the beach. What is feces and urine was not picked up, and beachgoers, kids might have to play in this. Mixing large dogs, small dogs, and humans, they didn't think was a good mix. And who would be able to bring the dogs to this beach? Would it just be the residents of Boynton, or would it be of any other county? Our board voted 5-1 and recommended against allowing dogs at Oceanfront Park. Any questions? Yes.
Excuse me. No.
sorry.
It's, you don't know.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's basically what we'll have the public audience speak and ask their questions.
okay.
And then after all the questions are asked, then you can respond to them.
Okay.
So if Wally can help jot down the questions.
Okay.
Does that work? So that way you're not going to be bombarded. You'll have time to think about each question.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So now I'll invite the public, if they would like to have a comment regarding this item, please come up to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record. Your presentation will be limited to 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Catherine Salvio. My address is 101 South Federal Highway. I was wondering if this vote included emotional support animals on leash?
Is that your only question?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
get that answered.
Woodrow Hay, 427 Northwest 5th Avenue, Boynton Beach, Florida. I just want to make a comment in support of the recommendation. I take my grands to the beach, and they like to dig, and they like to put things in their mouth, and try to get to them before they do that. But I would hate to think that they would pick up something other than a stick or something and put it in their mouth. I think there comes a time that you really have to, and I love dogs. I had dogs for many years when I had kids home. But I just can't imagine, and I see dogs. They do things, and many of the owners do not always pick up. Let's just be honest about that. They allow them to urinate in the sand, and kids are putting that kind of stuff. I just can't imagine. There comes a point at which we just have to say, hey, look, that's a small beach. Let's keep it for the humans, okay? I see a lot of the guys in my neighborhood. They have these pit bulls, and I saw one the other day had two pit bulls, and he could hardly maintain those dogs. I can't imagine those guys having those dogs on the beach and they get loose and hurt somebody. I just feel that we're setting ourselves up as a city for a tremendous lawsuit if something were to get out of hand with the dogs. Now, I love dogs. I got nothing against them, okay? But I think we really need to consider, think twice before we allow the dogs on our public beach, which is already small, okay? Thank you.
Ed Brooks, 15 East Ocean Avenue, Ocean Ridge. The gentleman before me touched on the whole insurance issue, which that's a legal issue. What's the population of Boynton?
This 76,000.
All right, so you have 76,000 and you have 70% of 800 that wanted dogs on the beach. That's not even a rounding error. So I'm not even sure if you take that into consideration. But I'm an owner of two very large dogs, and I love dogs, but we're either being naive or really being bamboozled. I don't think anybody wants to actually walk their dog on the beach. It's a quarter of a mile. You can do that anywhere. People want their dogs to run free on the beach, to jump in the ocean, to swim, to chase a ball. That's not really conducive to sharing that with human beings. The problem you have, as the gentleman said, and just take the visual of a dog park. You have a dog park. Everybody picks up. Everybody cleans up. All the dogs go home. Now you're going to let your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews go out there and dig and play and roll around. No matter how clean people say they're going to be, it's really not going to work. And that's the visual you're going to have. The other issue is that there is actually no desire by Ocean Ridge to change our ordinances. So people walk 30 feet to the south, they're going to get cited, which is going to come back on you. This is a very small piece of land. Your most valuable asset for this whole town is that beach for human beings. And if you don't protect that, you're really putting at risk your most valuable asset. And I'm a dog lover like everybody here. I have two large dogs. I love them to run on the beach. But dogs and humans don't always mix in such a confined area. And I really think you're going to have an issue when you go to try to sell this to Boynton Beach or to Ocean Ridge. Because they don't want dogs. We don't want dogs owners on our beach, and they're going to be very, very legalistic in their in our ordinances with regards to how this is going to be handled. Thank you.
Brian Bonnell, 3504 Southeast 2nd Street. Everybody had the opportunity to take the survey. 70% came back and said they wanted it. The problems that have been set out they've been answered by every other dog beach that exists. There are these are problems, but they've got solutions to them. So one of the first questions that my wife and I asked when we were looking for a house down here was what the closest dog beach was, and it's very far away. So it was exciting to hear that there was an opportunity to potentially have one here, and hopefully we'll get that opportunity.
So I guess there was only the one question for the audience regarding the emotional support dogs, I guess, that are ADA. Are they allowed on the beach currently? No? Okay. And then I guess my other question is that do we still have the volleyball court?
It's off and on because we often lose a lot of beach depending on the weather. And let me clarify, an emotional support dog is not a service dog. two different type of animals. So it's very important we clarify that.
Okay.
An emotional support animal is covered by a whole different set of laws, not by the ADA.
So is Boone or Harley able to go on the beach?
No.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Yep. Commissioner Casella, do you want to begin?
Thank you, Mayor. Wally, you would agree that some of the issues that were brought up are real issues as far as having dogs on the beach. But logistically, I think we can address most of those concerns. Would you say that's possible?
It's possible, very challenging.
Challenging, but possible.
Possible.
Okay, very good. All right. The other thing is I'm a little miffed or disappointed that the survey here, taken by almost 900 people answering it, wasn't in our backup, wasn't in my backup over here. I had asked for a hard copy. I respect the advisory board's decision that I believe there's 5 of them on the Parks and Recreation. I appreciate all you do for us, but I respectfully disagree with your outcome about this. We have 879 people, 7 out of 10 said, yeah, it's a good idea to have a dog beach. I think the public has, we've been banting this thing around for a while. I think that it came down, in my opinion, to public opinion. I think it's incumbent upon us here as a commission that to see if we can implement this, even if it's on a trial basis. It's going to be a give and take type thing to see what works and what doesn't work. I have no problem keeping the dogs on a leash. You say the dogs, they do this, they do that. I see people at the beach that disgust me what they do at the beach. So, and don't pick up after their own human stuff. So with that being said, I think people who bring their dogs to the beach or want a dog beach are responsible dog owners, and they will do everything in their power, hopefully, to keep this pristine and clean and not controversial. So I would ask this commission to, obviously we're all going to have a say in this, but my stance on this here, we did the survey, it came back, even 60% out of that 70 said they were willing to pay a fee to help pay that maintenance cost that that was mentioned. The other thing is that the gentleman from Ocean Ridge, I love people from Ocean Ridge, you're great people and you're great neighbors, but you are not going to dictate what we can't do when I go to a beach that says Boynton Beach Oceanfront Park. That's our park. You do not contribute anything to our beach, okay? That's my opinion. So with that being said, I nullify what your concerns are. I appreciate you being a dog lover, and I appreciate that. But with that being said, I think I'd like to move forward with this personally, even on a trial basis, to see how we can make this. Listen, trial and error. If it doesn't work, then we walk away from it. But I think that the number of people that responded to the survey says that they would like to see at least a chance for this happening. That's my stance on it. Thank you.
Commissioner McCray.
Thank you, sir. Well, I didn't wait for staff to give me a hard copy of the survey. I printed it out myself. And additional comments or suggestions, I went from 8, they went from 1 to 395. Okay. J.C. Park, I took up this new habit. I like to fish now, so I'm fishing. And the dogs down there are supposed to be on leashes. They're not on leashes. Even on the pier when I'm out there fishing, they come running by, and I don't say anything because I don't want people to know who I am, and I walk and I look around, and there's poop everywhere, and I'm just saying, but I like to ask legal, because the guy made some interesting points from Ocean Ridge. He said that who's going to be responsible for the legality of what happens on that beach, and I need to know, are we responsible?
Yes, sir, to some degree, the city would be responsible.
For a dog bite.
I would expect we would get sued for a dog bite on the beach.
Okay, let me ask another question. Suppose somebody that visit the beach, and they used to call them, what was years ago was called ringworms, and I'm just saying they came from feces. I'm just saying getting underneath the skin. I'm just saying, can we be sued for doctors, like medical bills?
We could get sued for just about anything these days.
Okay, all right. You answered my question, sir.
Commissioner Katz?
Yeah, I'm going to echo the sentiment of Commissioner Casello. I have a dog. I walk my dog throughout Renaissance Commons every day and see literally dozens of other people doing it. I've been going to Lake Ida Dog Park, now John Prince, the dog park in Renaissance Commons. It's of social value that I think that people who don't have dogs don't appreciate, being able to go. And these are outside places. I'm not one of these people who thinks you should be able to bring your dog in the supermarket, because that's ridiculous. But the beach is outside. Animals are at nature outside. So it's not some inconsistency to say dogs should be on the beach like it's some man-made, thing. With the biggest concern, and I combed through the 300-odd comments and, read through the data, is that, bad owners, will ruin this. There simply are people who ruin everything. That's, the saying, someone always ruins it for everybody else. But I think a well-crafted program, as the speaker said, and as Commissioner Casello said, can limit those things. I have no problem, just like the survey results indicated, charging a fee. People who own dogs and want to go to the beach are more than willing to pay for that because they understand there's costs associated with it. And I think you weed out a lot of the people who don't properly take care of their dogs or properly manage their dogs by instituting a cost basis. I think you weed out some of those bad actors. Additionally, I have no problem creating steep fines for people who do not adhere to the regulations that we would ultimately come to. I support on leash, because I think that deals with some of the concerns. People are right. If you don't like dogs and someone has a dog off a leash and it runs up and jumps on you, it's not a dog playing, it's an animal jumping on you. So the leashes addresses that concern. I just think that the people who would ruin this will be deterred by, one, having to sign up and register their pet and pay a fee to access the beach, and two, like I said, just have a $500 or $1,000 fine. If you violate these rules, there is zero tolerance. You're getting tagged, and you will never come back again, or you won't come in the first place if the fines are so prohibitive. I've seen effective dog beaches. I've gone down to the northernmost point in Delray to, access their quasi-dog beach, but then there's risk there because technically in Delray it is illegal to have dogs on the beach, but even their police turn a blind eye to it at certain hours because they understand there's value and they're not harming anybody. So I'm fully in favor of crafting a well-regulated trial basis, just as Commissioner Casello said. If it doesn't work out or we see detriment, then walk away from it. But I think that nothing ventured, nothing gained. There is pent-up demand for access to a beach that allows you to legally bring your dog, because right now you have to go to Boca and pay a daily fee. To the best of my knowledge, they don't allow non-residents to get a pass, so you have to pay a lot of money, or you have to go all the way up to Jupiter. That's literally, you're talking about 40 or 50 miles of non-dog beach access. And incidentally, some of the coastal cities, they allow dogs on their beach for their residents. It's just there's no parking or access so that other people can't do it. So I find it comical that some of the coastal cities that say their residents can bring their dogs to their beaches don't want our residents to bring our dogs to our beaches. It just needs to be well crafted and well regulated, and I think that absolves or resolves any of the concerns. It's just worth a try, and I'm fully in support of crafting a well regulated, controlled trial period to test this out based on any number of input components that we've seen. I know that the survey only had 800 odd people out of 70-something thousand people in the city of Boynton Beach, but by that same token, tonight only like 3 people spoke on the issue. That's just the way that public input works in our democracy. For some reason, the participation is low. So I'm fully in support of moving forward with this, with some stringent guidelines to weed out the bad actors and make sure it's a positive experience for everybody. And it will bring people in from other cities because they simply don't have access to a dog beach, a legal dog beach, unless they go 15 miles south or 30 miles north.
You want to go again?
I need to go again
All right.
because he said we need to have stringent enforcement. And I'm trying to figure out who's going to enforce these laws, these rules at the beach. I'm just saying, when we don't have park rangers, they're not enforcing the ones that we have now. That's all I need to say.
Vice Mayor, would you have anything to say, or?
I'll add my 2 cents into this conversation. For what it's worth, I have a dog. I am a dog owner. I have the cutest little thing. She's 5 pounds. After my kids, of course, she's the cutest little thing. I would not force my dog upon anyone. I know that there are people who have natural, legitimate reasons for why they are afraid of dogs or fear dogs. And I don't believe that we, who are dog owners, should impose our dogs upon people who are not dog owners and who maybe want to frequent the park and who don't necessarily want to have an interaction with a dog, possibly jumping on them or shaking on them or pooping on the beach or whatever other scenarios that have been proposed here tonight. In addition, I feel that, as much as I respect my colleagues, their opinions are pretty trusting and believing that we can have individuals who will respect these ordinances, who will keep their dogs on a leash at all times, pick up after their dogs when they defecate on the beach. I think it's pretty optimistic. It's great. It's idealistic, but again, I think it's pretty optimistic. I don't have that much faith in people to be able to do those things that we're asking them to do. And in addition to, again, kind of piggyback off of what Commissioner McCray has said, are we going to be now asking for a code enforcement officer to be on site or someone to be on site to be vigilant in watching these dog owners and finding them or citing them heavily and stringently when they violate these rules? I doubt it. Are we also going to have somebody having like a check-in or something to see whether or not people who are actually bringing their dogs to the park are licensed with the city? People may just find out that we have a dog park and they start bringing their dogs now without having a license just because they know we have it. Who's going to be there to monitor that? Who's going to be there to enforce that? So again, I think it's a little optimistic to think of these things and not to realize where people can cut corners and people can shortcut what we have good intentions to put in place, but possibly may not be successful simply because people just know how to work around the rules and bend the rules, and again, the bad apples kind of destroy it for everybody else. So those are my takes, and that being said, I will not be in favor of moving forward with this idea.
I got a couple questions. I believe, Jim, is Ocean Ridge is the one that police the beach, if I'm not mistaken, that our city officers do not go there if there's a crime happening. And so
That's correct.
And so the question is regarding the municipal regulation that we could enforce. Well, we can't do that because it's not our municipality. And so do you think we can create a regulated fine that is, that every dog owner would have to, it's almost a contract if you want to bring your dog there. Otherwise, you can't bring your dog there?
It would be more in the nature of a contract enforcement than it would be the violation of a municipal ordinance.
And so if someone brought their dog there that has not signed the contract, we would have to have the Ocean Ridge Police cite them. Is that correct?
Cite them or remove them at a request from our property.
And so, okay. And so it's a very, regardless, we're going to need Ocean Ridge's help in some way regarding, in order for it to be well-regulated. My other question is, Wally, what are the hours of the front gate?
The parking attendants report for duty at 8, and they leave at 4:30.
So if someone shows up at 7 o'clock with a dog, there's nobody to say no.
Right, which is, among the challenges would certainly be, before we even get to the point of discussing fines, is how do we regulate it and keep it safe? And that would be the challenge, whereby on a small beach like that, private property to our south, county property to my north, and an area where more than likely people are still going to have to be allowed to walk by, to make it safe, I would imagine I would have to be able to control both the north and the south boundaries. and to provide some oversight over people that are going to walk by.
And the middle boundary of
Right.
someone who is disabled and has a dog, we have to let them use the ramp, correct?
If they're a service dog, then yeah, we'd have to accommodate them.
And so that's, I'm in favor of trying something. I'm not in favor of saying, no, we can never have dogs. Right now we have 365 days where people...
The only thing I would add, but even in trying something, it's not like we have staff that we can pull away from other. I'd have to bring somebody in contractually. We'd have to admit, because keep in mind then, even after we have a time set up when this happens, what is a small beach then becomes very large in terms of me having somebody that's going to have to walk up and down and clean it after each time the dogs are allowed. I would imagine that's something we would have to do. So even from that standpoint, one person would take probably, again, imagine an area the size of our beach, one person cleaning it. More than likely, I'm going to need more than one if I need to get in and out of there in enough time to get the dogs off the beach and then let the public back on. Keeping in mind that there's going to be some people that linger, take a little bit longer.
Well, I'm going to have to interrupt you. Sure. And so the numbers that you gave us was that it would cost anywhere from $22,000 to $25,000 for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Is that correct?
And honestly, in retrospect, I included one park ranger.
So and I divided, 3 days with 50 weeks is 150 days divided by 25,000 is $166 a day. And that's the math. And so, I'd like to say that, I think we have in the budget maybe 12 times a year that they get at least 1 day a month, that we do something in the sense is that, like Commissioner Katz said, is that it is a trial basis, that we don't plan on having it every single day, that it is only on, special occasions that we do have dogs there. Because, like I said before, unless we have some help with Ocean Ridge, because they could have an officer at that front gate when we have that special day and finding people, or they have one there every day trying to find people with a dog. And so I'd like to see if we can't find some middle ground in the sense is that, saying that dogs are allowed 0 days out of the year does not make sense to me. We should find some days every month for dogs to be allowed. Because, it's almost in the senses that, people think that dogs are family. And if you don't allow your family with you, people get upset. And I understand, everyone has their own prerogative with what they feel in the senses that, if there's a baby screaming at a restaurant, some people get upset. And so I think this is the start of the conversation regarding dogs at our oceanfront park. And we can move forward with that agreement to contract that I guess our city attorney is going to have to come up with, and some sort of, extra fee for that. Commissioner McCray.
Thank you. Did we get any type of dialogue or feedback from the elected officials of Ocean Ridge in regards to this information about dogs on the beach?
I spoke with, the town manager, Jamie, and the answer is no.
And Jim Cheroff and I went over and met with their town manager and their city attorney and their police chief. And yes, it was a resounding no.
Yes.
No.
We were lucky to get back.
Thank you.
In one piece.
All right. Commissioner Costello.
Without a ticket. No.
See, I'm a little confused here because Ocean Ridge adds nothing to that beach, doesn't support it financially in any form, shape, or way. It's our beach. And you're telling me we're being held hostage by Ocean Ridge? That's basically what you're telling me. Somebody want to respond to that question?
Yep. All right.
No, sir. I don't want you, sir.
He's
public comments over.
I got the
we're
mic
going to let
here.
you speak afterwards, and so I'll let you know when you can speak again.
So, Wally, who enforces the law and the rules of our park, our ocean park? Who does that?
If it's somebody parking illegally in a handicapped spot, if it's somebody that breaks into a car, if it's somebody acting belligerent, that would be the Ocean Ridge Police Department. If somebody comes into the park and breaks one of our ordinances, again, it's one of those very gray areas.
Well, how come over the years, how come this hasn't been addressed? Why this gray area, which sounds very confusing to a guy like myself, which is pretty, should be like black and white. Why is it like this? Is there anything we can do, and this goes to our lawyer, is there anything that we can do as far as rewriting this gray area and cleaning up this gray area that we seem to have over there?
Well, if you're talking about having law enforcement authority within the park, within another jurisdiction, we'd have to have legislation passed to do that. We can't write that law at a local level.
Okay.
That'd be something you to do next year.
But that could be done.
I'll help you draft it.
I think all of us up here, are common sense people, and tell us that the way this thing is set up right now and the way this park is operated, there's a lot of conflicts here. If Ocean Ridge doesn't like something, it doesn't happen. That's my take on that park. If that's the case, okay, and this is going to continue, then just let's sell the park to Ocean Ridge, and we'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
We woe and oh, but we're restricted on what we can and what we can't do.
Oh, when we've installed the sign, we have to get a permit.
Right, from Ocean Ridge.
Yes.
I mean, I heard, and I don't know how true it was. I mean, to even the point of what we can open cook down there was a point of contention. It borders on ridiculous. I mean, we laugh about it and all, but it's not funny. We put, this gentleman from Ocean Ridge says it's our greatest amenity. It's the greatest asset we have here in Boynton Beach. I disagree with him a little bit on that, but that was his take on it. And here, we have no control over it. We have absolutely no control out of it, but parking the cars there. And I think that needs to change at some level. And I think that this program, it warrants a trial period. And if Jamie Tickham doesn't like it, if the mayor, Jim Bonfiglio, don't like it, well, then we can have that discussion. But it's our park. Thank you.
Is there anything else from the board? Yes, Commissioner Katz, then the city manager.
Just a question to legal, with regards to if a dog were to bite somebody on the beach. We allow dogs access to a number of our public parks right now. Are we susceptible to similar litigation in every single park that we currently allow dog access to?
Yes, sir, we are.
So right now, that argument for the beach literally is an argument to ban dogs from the existing parks that we have, because that same liability crosses all borders. So that just to address that with regards to having to hire personnel, if we're able to generate the funds from the program to defer the cost or cover a majority of the cost of the personnel, I think that addresses that concern. I share some of the concerns that Commissioner Casello does with Ocean Ridge's assertion that, every time we do something that they don't like, it just turns into this conflict. If they want to shoot it down, once we pass it to them, then that's their business. But I don't like preemptively backing off of a position that might have majority support up here, as it appears it does. If they want to do it and roadblock this, then that's their prerogative, that's their right. I don't think we should, out of fear of that, not move forward. As the mayor said, and I kind of thought this myself, if the concern is cost, if the concern is I don't want to go to the beach and there's a dog there, then if we limit the days, the access points to whether it's once a month or bi-weekly for a day or two, now you're talking about maybe I don't go to the beach on these 12 or these 24 particular days out of 360 odd days a year. The beach can be shared by people who like and don't like dogs, and I think a tiny fraction of the time, being dedicated to individuals to use the beach for dog and recreation purposes won't. I can't imagine it would ruin, the atmosphere for the other 340 odd days a year. I support what the mayor said. If it needs to be a heavily time restricted just to allow some access, then that's fine. But I think we should pursue it. I think all the arguments there's two sides to every coin, and I could sit up here all night and argue against every argument that doesn't support my position and vice versa. So it's, I'm prepared to move forward with some recommendations from this board, or have the Recreation Board issue some recommendations, knowing that this board supports some sort of dog access, to heavily regulate it. I just, again, I share the concerns that our beach apparently isn't our beach. I've offered in the past, when Ocean Ridge has come over here and extended their concerns, that I'd be more than happy to see them reincorporate with the city of Boynton Beach. We'll even pay them the $500,000 that they paid us back in 1920s or whenever that deal went down. But I don't like that, we provide services to a neighboring municipality that they could not otherwise afford to produce themselves. But then when we ask for a simple courtesy of allowing dogs on our beach for a limited number of days a year, the answer is no. What if we said, we don't want to provide utilities anymore? We don't want to provide water. That would be absurd. And I think this is a different type of example of absurd, that you're going to say, hypothetically over there in Ocean Ridge, you can't allow dogs on this beach 12 days a year. I just think that would be an absurd position. We would never take it against them. It's just spiteful. So I hope that they would show some camaraderie and neighborliness, and realize that we're trying to work here to make this as agreeable as possible. But the idea that the answer is no is just, if they're going to say no, then I'm going to make them say no. I'm not going to sit up here and say no against something that I believe has support, and I support under that threat. So,
Vice Mayor.
I'll just comment that I don't believe that, especially for myself, I'm not making this decision in terms of what Ocean Ridge feels or what Ocean Ridge proposes to not or to do or not do regarding what we do up here tonight. What I do want to reiterate is the fact that we have just recently, within the last year, opened up a dog park here in the city of Boynton Beach, which we did not have before, Joe Crowder Park. In addition, from what I understand with the developer, he does plan on expanding the footprint of that park as well. So now we will have a larger park that will accommodate more dogs. And again, between Lake Ida Park and John Prince Park, we are the only ones here in between that allows for that. So I believe we do have amenities for dog owners. We do have the ability for people to come here and have a great social gathering for themselves and their four-legged friends. I don't believe we need to impose that on a beach that, again, 800 some odd people is not representative of the whole. And the fact that we don't have very many people here in the audience does not necessarily mean that it doesn't mean that we don't have people in the public as a whole who are opposed to this. So again, I've stated my position. I'll continue to stand with that position. I do not believe this is the right direction for us to move in, regardless of whether or not we're now broaching the idea of doing it on less frequent days of the year or the month, whatnot. I still don't think it's a great idea, and I believe that, again, all we're simply doing is inconveniencing humans because we want to allow for dogs to be able to frequent the beach as well. I believe that there are other ways around that, and we have amenities to allow for dogs and their owners to frequent our facilities here in the city.
All right. Yes.
Hey, I think I've seen 3 votes that you want to move forward with some form of a trial period. So what I'm going to ask the commission is to, give staff, because I've got probably 12 items listed here of questions that we need to define to develop a program in terms of the limited access, the regulation, the enforcement, the staffing requirements, what have you. So I'd like an opportunity for us staff to work on that and bring something back to you in June to be able to put some parameters on this that I can then assign a budget to it and let you know perhaps what that is going to cost, and a forthcoming budget amendment to probably pull money out of reserves if necessary, I don't know, to be able to address the needs. So we need time to put all that together.
I understand at the time, now I want to go, and so Laura, you'll speak with us basically at our city managers meeting of all those different items that you want us to look forward individually, rather than so that you can come back with us with a group assessment of what we are all looking at. Yes, Commissioner Castillo.
You know, I take a little offense to what you said there, City Manager. You know, the first word you use, well, I know you're not in favor of this on a personal level. I understand that, and I respect that position. Okay,
Not personal.
not
also.
personal, not personal.
not at all.
Okay, but to use the word, well, we might have to go in reserves. That was the first word. We might have to go into reserves to get the money. We talked about 60% of the people who voted on this are willing to pay a fee. This might be a self-funding operation.
And we need to define that. If that's the case,
right,
that would be great.
So let's not use the word reserve right out of the gate. Okay, and put that negative spin on it.
No, did not
Lori,
mean to be
thank you.
negative.
Well, that's
Lori,
what it sounded
thank you.
like.
If we have to add staffing, we'll have
Lori.
to amend our budget.
Thank you. And so because the man from Ocean Ridge was raising his hand and was quiet, I'll give you an extra minute
Thank
to
you.
say
Ed Brooks,
whatever you'd
15
like.
East Ocean Avenue. We're swapping a lot of ignorance up here, and there's not enough time. You have a beach that's in a whole separate municipality. Your attorney's been pretty kind because he's been pretty quiet. There's a lot of complexities that goes along with that. If you're willing to sell it, come up with a price. I've been on the commission, would gladly buy it from you. But don't swap ignorance. This is a complex issue. We provide you with policing. And I take a little offense that you give us services. You charge us for that. Hopefully you're making a profit. God bless you. No problem with that. So I don't think you should couch it into, well, we're being magnanimous. We're not trying to tell you what to do. I was just up here telling you what Ocean Ridge, the county doesn't allow dogs on beaches. Ocean Ridge doesn't allow dogs on beaches. If they would allow this, they're basically saying then to the residents of Ocean Ridge, well, now we have to allow it on all of our beaches. They don't want to go down that path. They're not trying to be punitive to you. They're not trying to tell you what to do or what not to do. They're just doing what they feel is best for the ordinances that we have. They can't just carve this little piece out. So this is, don't get mad at Ocean Ridge here.
All right. So what I'll do now is I'll entertain a motion to move forward with the consideration of dogs at Oceanfront Park.
I'll make that motion in the form of a motion with the stipulation that we have some guidelines set up to bring back into with our June meeting on how we might implement that.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2. Moving on to new business, proposed resolution number R18-068, authorize mayor to sign an agreement with Florida Caribbean and Architecture of Boynton Beach, Florida for project management services for the Town Square project for a monthly amount of $15,200. I read the contract. Yeah.
Well, we'd like to introduce Anderson Slocum. This is something that's come up a couple of times in our meetings about Town Square. You want me to wait till they... I can keep going.
You can talk loud.
I'll talk loud. Yeah, I can.
Just don't talk a lot.
I'm not, I promise. So y'all have asked us several times of how we're going to manage this Town Square project, and we've told you that we're going to put together a team. And so what this request is a request for y'all to approve our team lead for the city for this project, which is Anderson Slocum. He's been working with the city for over 10 years on big projects for the city. He's managed several of them very successfully. And so we want to bring him on board to be our owner's representative on the project to make sure the project's built to the specifications and to the requirements of the city, and to do that boots on the ground every day. Andrew's still the project lead for the city, so Anderson would report to Andrew. So with that, I just wanted to introduce Anderson, and if you have any questions for him, but if not, we're done.
Yes, Commissioner McCraig.
Thank you. I have questions. I'm just saying, when we're spending $15,200 a month, staff, you need to get me something. I need to know, what are we getting for this $15,200 a month? I'm just saying, it's nice to bring somebody on board. Like you're saying, that's not good enough for me. I need to know, what are we expecting in return, sir, when we're spending this type of money?
Yes, absolutely. That's very important. What we're expecting is this, Anderson would be our project manager on the ground every day on the project, working with the project team. That's reviewing all of the pay requests, all of the shop drawings, all of the architectural reviews, all of the field reviews, making sure the inspections are being done properly, making sure all of the quality of the material meets the specifications, coordinating any problems that come up. There's problems in construction, all of you all know, things come up. It's to coordinate solution to those, to work with the team. It also includes dealing with the public if there's public issues. It's also managing and kind of being our eyes and ears for the project team, which works for E2L Real Estate Solutions, to make sure they're doing their job and they're providing a project to the city that meets the city's needs. So it's a pretty big expectation on it's basically 5 buildings plus parks plus roads. It's a very large project. We believe that Anderson can handle that large projects, working for Andrew Mack, Public Works Director, and myself also being involved in it. That's a great team for the city to manage all of those things on a daily basis. And it's really important to make sure that is handled correctly and on time to keep the project within budget. Does that? I hope that answers your question.
No, sir, it does not.
Ask me some more.
No, sir.
Okay.
When this project first came up, I was one of those that was diehard opposed to this, and I stated to you all, I said, and I asked you the question, Colin. I said, have you ever done one of these before? And you said, oh, yes, and that's fine. Now we're getting hit with another bill, so we got to bring somebody on now to oversee the city itself. I thought the group that we had said that they was going to do the project. I thought they had somebody in their team. I'm just saying, are we going to get any more surprise? Well, this is a hell of a surprise, $15,200. We got to pay somebody to do something that staff needs to do. Why don't we just go ahead and hire a staff person to oversee this?
Okay. Well, first of all, these costs were included in the budget that was presented. So we had always planned on having this, and it's been in the budget. And yes, we do have very qualified staff. Unfortunately, I have a full-time job doing other things, and so does Andrew. So we cannot commit 100% of our time to this project. We're going to commit our expertise. We're going to commit our oversight. We're going to commit to making sure information is brought to the commission in a transparent manner. But we can't be boots on the ground every day, 24/7. And that we've told you that. We've said that from the beginning, that we're going to have a project manager on our side to watch out for our needs. And
Commissioner McCray, before you ask another question, I'd like to ask a question of Anderson.
Okay.
And so I was informed that you were our monitor or manager for Fire Station 5. Is that correct?
Yes, Fire Station 5, 2, 4, the Intercoastal Pavilion, which I worked closely with Commissioner because we had there were some the neighbors on the north end of that project were very antagonistic. So I remember working with you on that some years ago. But I've done multiple projects around the city. I've been living in the city for about just over 20 years, and I've done multiple projects throughout the city.
Okay, and so, I'm very glad that, this isn't the first time you've held this position. This is the first time that you are a business owner.
Yes, I've opened my own business for the last 5 years, but I've worked for multiple large corporations before.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. So what have you, basically it's what have you learned doing these past projects that you're going to bring to this Town Square project?
Well, I've worked with many different municipalities throughout.
Well, no, it's more or less with the public-private partnership where you're going to be working with CPH, E2L, all the different types of contractors, architects, engineers, and that you'll be providing us with, I guess, almost daily, weekly, and monthly reports. Is that correct?
Correct. And really, because I'm going to be here to really make sure that the city is getting what it's paid for and looking out for the city's interests.
And so
because for these type of projects, you have to have somebody's dedicated to looking out for the city's interests.
And so you plan on working more than 40 hours
Yes.
a week? All right.
I'm planning on doing whatever needs to be done for the city.
All right.
That's always been my motto when I work for large corporations as a project manager for the city of Boynton Beach. Even though I was working for corporations, my city, I always make sure I look out for my city.
I appreciate that. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCray, if you'd like to continue your question.
Thank you, sir. I was not questioning his qualifications. My questions was, and back to staff again, I'm saying, I wasn't doing that, so don't try to make me feel like I was questioning his qualifications. Is there anything else, Colin, that, I need to know about, with this project going forward? You got this guy coming on now. Will there be anybody else that we're going to be bringing on board? Because, we spent a hell of a lot of money.
In our budget right now, this was the
Lori
only...
Head is going, yes. So
Right.
I need to
This is
probably
the
ask Lori
only.
then.
This is the only position we planned for in our budget. So we don't anticipate any other positions coming forward. I will never say 100% because I don't know what's going to happen in 2 years from now. But right now, based on our budget and based on our plan, which is fairly extensive, no, there will not be any other people the city will require to be on board to do this project. We have a very, very good team and a very good staff with the addition of Anderson onto our staff.
Now, Lori, I want to ask you, why
that
was you shaking your head?
We're spending a hell of a lot of money, and I was affirming that, yes, this is an expensive project. I mean, it's a tremendous undertaking for this city, and that's what I was referring to, because yes, you're right, and it's a tremendous commitment by the city to invest the money necessary to get it done right. This was contemplated in the budget. We discussed that through the approvals with the commission that we were going to need to bring someone on as a project manager. There will be, E2L will be bringing one on. There will be a team of about 5, but Mr. Slocum will be the one representing our interests very specifically. The others will represent the developer, the contractors, but there will be about 5 people, I think.
Yeah, there's a project team of about 5 people. Anderson's the only one that works directly for the city, representing the city in those everyday, day in, day out, every hour conversations on the project.
Okay, as long as we got one coming on and 4 from somewhere else, okay, I can live with that.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yeah, just a point of reference, Anderson, the projects you did oversee and control, they were always on time and on budget, weren't they?
Yes, for the most part, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to brag on him a little bit. Fire Station 5 was $1 million under budget. Anderson brought that in, $1 million under budget.
I was hoping he would say that, but...
He's not going to brag about that. Project managers never do.
And based upon the numbers, this is a 1/10% of what, our total investment into Town Square. And so if we're spending that small amount for, of the total project, I appreciate you working with the city, and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to legal. Approve proposed settlement and authorized payment of $50,000 to settle the case of Barry Goldman versus City of Boynton Beach. Jim, did we have a shade session for this?
We have had one in the past. There is no shade session tonight. The settlement proposal is within the general parameters of what the commission has discussed, but I don't want to get into any details about what happened.
That's what I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yeah, and I think that what we do need here is a little bit of details, because this individual originally came out with a $200,000 figure. If I remember correctly, when we were behind, I think I can say this in closed-door session about this particular case, I believe that I voted not to offer anything and to take this to litigation. I think a couple of the commissioners, I think it was only 4 of us there at the time.
Commissioner, I do have to stop you because
okay, that's great.
The details are.
Okay.
You're certainly free to
let
say
me ask.
whatever your point
let me
of
go
view
in a
is
different
tonight.
route here.
Yeah.
And I think I know the answer to this. When was the last time that this commission or the commission before us actually took a case, a tort case, to court to litigate?
Well, I could say certainly not within the last 4 or 5 years, because
It hasn't happened since I've been sitting here. I know that much, okay? And I get a little perturbed, and you know my frustration. My frustration turns to anger when we continually settle these cases because it's about the business. It's business. It's the bottom line. Well, we continue to pay out these fees. We've paid, since I've been sitting here, we've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. The cases, just as this one here sits before us, because it's easier to pay. Easier. We say we came up with a figure of $30,000 potential court costs. Well, so be it. Hell, let's get in there and fight. Let's win or lose. But we just can't continue signing off on these 50,000, 40,000, 15,000. It goes on, the list. There's been hundreds of thousands of dollars since I've been sitting up here. I am frustrated with it, and it's the wrong way to do business. This is taxpayer money.
All right. Yes, Commissioner McCray.
Clarification, legal, I'm just saying this is really coming like from our insurance money that our insurance company is the one that's really picking up a lot of these tabs.
Well, not all of it. What happens is the commission does appropriate money every year to the risk department to settle cases or to try cases, whatever the case may be. We have excess coverage that covers risk that is greater than, in this particular case of this nature, $200,000 that would pick up, and you pay premiums for that as well. So there's a lot of money that goes into the process, both budgeted as direct payment and budgeted for additional insurance.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
I only heard one nay from Commissioner Casella. The motion passes 4-1. Moving on to 12C, proposed ordinance number R18-008. Jim?
An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, deleting the current Chapter 9 Fire Protection and Prevention in its entirety and creating a new Chapter 9 Fire Protection and Prevention, providing for repeal of laws and conflict severability codification and an effective date. And if I may, just a nod to the Fire Rescue Department staff for weeding through all of the regulations associated with making Boynton Beach a safe place for the residents through fire code regulation.
When was the last time we had an update to our fire code regulations?
The Glen Joseph Fire Rescue. The last update to was, I think, in 2011.
2007.
2007.
So we're a lot safer now.
Yeah, well, I had to rewrite the whole thing because it was so...
Yeah, things have changed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The young lady that's with you, we know you can...
Fire Marshal Klein, she did most of the heavy lifting on it, so I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Fire Marshal Klein.
Fire Marshal who?
Klein. Kathy Klein.
Klein, okay.
I was really thanking her and not the chief when I made my comments.
I don't deserve it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner McCray,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Romulus,
Aye.
Commissioner Cassello,
Yes.
Mayor Grant,
Yes.
and Commissioner Katz.
Yes.
The vote is 5-0.
Next, we're on to item 12D. I requested an update regarding the opioid class action lawsuit and the gun lawsuit that municipalities, and I believe the County of Broward has also filed against Tallahassee. So would you like to begin with the opioid, the class action lawsuit update?
Yes, sir. There's actually a number of actions being litigated all over the state and the country. The one you've probably read the most about is a series of cases. I think they're up to now 400 participants that have been consolidated in federal court, now pending in the Southern District of Ohio. Those cases, I think there was an order issued within the last week or so where the judge has set a fast track for litigating those cases. Fast track in the sense that I believe that trial is scheduled for March of 2019. So that's a case that there may be or there may not be a window of opportunity to get a place in line along with other municipalities and counties throughout the country. But there are other cases pending as well. We've been monitoring a number of them. The causes of action are various in nature, but essentially what they all seek is the right for cities such as Boynton Beach to recover the additional costs that the opioid crisis has forced upon the city in terms of what the Fire Rescue Department has to deal with, the Police Department has to deal with, other regulatory departments of the city need to deal with, and to structure a way of recovering that money from big pharma and from commercial enterprises that distribute as well, like CVS, Walmart, and the like. What I would suggest, if the city is interested, along with other cities, because I know you see almost on a daily basis another city joining into the litigation of one cause or another, is to bring back some proposals from law firms that are engaged in that activity. That's not something that the city attorney's office can litigate at the federal level. I don't think you want to send me to Ohio. I'm not sure I want to go there.
We might.
But I guess there's nice places. But what we would do is we would talk to other municipalities and perhaps bring back to you 3 or 4 proposals, maybe make some presentations to you of how the city could get into that litigation. Some of the cases, Wilton Manors just had a presentation made to them, and the type of case that they're getting involved in is one of the national cases, and the end result is there's really no out-of-pocket for the city. It's a contingency fee case. If the lawyers win that case, we're going to get some money back based upon what we were able to prove for our costs. So that's an overview of the opioid litigation.
Okay. And so, I'd like to speak to the commission saying that, I know that we had CRC Denny come here last year to give us an update as well of what's going on. Do we want to move forward with hiring a law firm, or do we want to wait a few more months and check it down the road to see how the class action is going, to see if there is a certification and whether we can fit into that certification as a municipality? Yeah, Commissioner Katz.
Yeah, I think you've got enough parties already starting the process. It'd be cost effective to latch on versus starting our own. So, whatever legal advises is the most cost effective way to become a party to existing litigation. I think that's worth exploring.
Is there any other concerns that we have regarding the pay-on amount? So I guess, Jim, if you could find us the most cost-effective way to find the most money.
Okay, we'll do. All right, with respect to the second large piece of litigation, that's the firearms prevention lawsuit. And this derives from a state statute that you're all probably pretty familiar with. It's been discussed quite a bit, which is the state deciding that local government could play no role, was completely preempted in the regulation of firearms. This is not about the prohibition of firearms. This is about safe practices, regulating safe practices associated with firearms. And the penalties associated with local government, you particularly as commissioners, are quite astounding. They could result in civil penalties against you, fines against you for supporting or passing any legislation or regulation regarding firearms, or also removal from office by the governor. So there's 2 very significant cases that are underway right now. One is pending in Broward County, and the city of Pembroke Pines, Carl Springs, Coconut Creek are the principal parties that are litigating that case. They challenge the constitutionality of the statute that places these penalties on local government for engaging in thoughtful regulation of firearms. The other case has been filed in Leon County, up in the Panhandle, of course, is the state capital. And some of the cities that are involved with that are the city of Weston is the lead, Miramar, Pompano Beach, Pinecrest, South Miami, Coral Gables, Cutler Bay, Lauderhill. Same type of litigation. So it may be possible to join or align with either one of those. As you know, my law firm represents both Pembroke Pines and one of the other cities that has indicated their willingness to join into that. So we're well positioned to follow that litigation. If any one of those lawsuits is won, all cities in Florida will win in it. So this may be a good case to watch for a little while, make certain that our interests are protected.
And seeing how you are representing parties already,
Right. I mean, of course,
it's kind of duplicative, you doing the same work twice.
yeah, I think we could borrow whatever we need from them, and I could keep you informed. Certainly, from time to time, there'll be some documentation that's confidential in nature because of the litigation privilege.
Absolutely.
But anything else would be public record that I'm able to share with you and keep you up to speed on.
Okay. Commissioner Casella?
Yeah, Jim, these gun losses, this is just about the preemptive, about the local authority, is that correct? It's not about banning anything, or it's just about the authority the locals have?
It is not about banning at all.
Okay.
It is about the authority under home rule for local legislatures such as yourselves, commissioners, to listen to your public and decide what's in the best interest of this community.
Thank you.
Right now, that's completely barred by preemption.
So I think I'm in favor of just following this closely. All right, I get some head nods. And I believe item 12E is tabled. And so is there anything else before we adjourn? Seeing none?
I have one.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor, you wasn't here at the last commission meeting,
Yes.
but I just wanted to tell you, you did an excellent job, Commissioner Vice Mayor Romulus. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for filling in.
So you wasn't missed.
All right. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.